Hey, Hawkeye fans, welcome back. Well, today we are talking all things spring practice and what we saw. And we have a fantastic interview with Jada Gyamfi from the women's basketball team talking about their postseason run. Welcome back to Talkin' Hawks, the offseason presented by Estella's. Well, Matt, I'm so excited that Estella's is our presenting sponsor of the offseason.
Yeah, they always bring delicious food. It's unbelievable. And we go there often enough, but the fact that they give us fresh food like this every time is incredible.
It is the best, fresh, build your own burrito bowl, whatever you want. It is the best in the Iowa City, Coralville area.
Do you have a go-to?
A go-to?
Yeah.
You don't want to know my order. I get so much stuff in it. I do. I'm not like you, because what do you get?
I get the buff. Chill out. I get the buff. It's the pancake one. It's the breakfast one. It's unbelievable.
I do build your own. Ready? Grilled chicken. No rice. Black beans. Corn salsa. Mild salsa. I also like their green salsa as well. Salsa verde. I think that's what it's called. Sour cream. Guacamole. Queso. And shredded cheese.
Yeah, that's a burrito.
You fill it up. It's so good. Estella's, the best.
Yeah, really excited that they were able to pair with us.
So if you are looking for locally owned, fresh food made with love, check out Estella's today. Hello, Matt.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. God is good.
It has been a tumultuous past few months. You don't feel that? Just me?
Are you saying that because of no Hawkeye football?
Yes. No, I'm saying that because we're trying to sell our house.
Yeah.
And I am the stressed out one in this relationship.
Well, it's because this is what I do. I feel a little bit more comfortable.
I know. I keep pestering you. I feel like I'm the seller that you hate.
Yeah.
When's my house going to sell? When will it sell? Do we have to do something else? What else can we do? Do we drop the price? Do we do it now? What should we do? It's been 2 weeks. How many showings should we have? That's me.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But hopefully it will sell soon. By the time this episode comes out.
That would be nice.
That would be lovely. What else has been going on? Anything?
Well, I mean, our bathroom's getting done.
Yes, performance restoration. We gave them a little shout out last time because they came in and mitigated some mold that we had going on, which was so unfortunate. But it's getting finished today, which is really good news.
Patio's all done. I think that's been done for a little bit.
This is all so boring. This is not good content. Let's see what else is happening. Olympic trials just happened for wrestling.
Yes, and that was a massive match. I feel like that was the match that everybody was waiting for.
Thomas
At least
Gilman.
longtime Hawkeye fans.
Yes. Thomas Gilman, who, while he was at Iowa, was one of my, I can still say he was one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in general. Obviously he left for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club to go to Penn State.
Yeah.
But while he was here and while he was on the team, he was so much fun to watch. He was one of those guys that kind of embodied Hawkeye wrestling to a point, just because he was like a Tom and Terry type, like scrappy, not afraid.
Also very offensive in terms of the way his style of wrestling was like, get points, get points, get points.
Oh,
not like a Pat Lugo of like.
He was very offensive.
Offensive.
Offensive to me when you say it that way is like he offended a lot of people, which might also be true.
That's probably also true. But no, like he's very like, I want to put up 15, 18 points like every time I step on the mat. Not like a Pat Lugo who's going to be like a 2-1, come down to the very end. Like he was always very attacking.
Yeah, that's why I say he was kind of embodied like Iowa wrestling. Like you impose your will in every way. So I don't know. He was really cool to watch when he was at Iowa. And then once he left, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what if him and Spencer like wrestle each other? What would have happened or what will happen? That kind of thing.
Now we know.
Spencer had mentioned like he's still not fully healthy. He had said that in one of his post interviews or whatever. And I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on. But he looked great.
He told us the best is yet to come. He hasn't wrestled his best yet.
I know. And he also, I like reposted our interview with him, like a little clip. And he was like, yeah, people always ask me like, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? What's going on? And he's like, I haven't even started. Like this was kind of the dream all along. When he said that he had never, what did he say? He's like, I didn't even know college wrestling existed for a really long time.
This is what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Like my eyes were always set on the Olympics and, like professional wrestling.
If you haven't checked out that, go back and look at it. But it's a different style of wrestling. And for those of you that don't know what we're discussing, Spencer pinned Gilman.
Yeah. It was best.
They won in the first, and then he won 6-3 the first time, and then he pinned him the second time.
That sounds about right. But yeah, it was super cool. And so then he won the Olympic trials. But this is like this kind of an interesting thing. It's very hard for me to understand. But from my understanding, somebody in the comments give us like a full
Well, Spencer kind of walked it down a little bit for us.
A little bit, but so they haven't qualified his weight yet for the Olympics.
Right.
The Team USA hasn't. So he has to go to, I think he said Istanbul to like, he has to place top 3. In order
I know
to
there's like,
qualify
you
that
have
weight.
to, yeah. Different steps to get there, but it's multiple different tournaments.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, so he still has to go to Istanbul. Is that how you say it? Why does it sound stupid coming out of my mouth? Does it sound dumb?
It sounds great.
Okay. Anyway, so then he has to go do that and place top 3. And then, but typically he would be like, he is on the Olympic team. They just have to qualify the weight. And yeah.
That I don't know.
That's exactly what I was explaining, Matt. And you kept interrupting me. So, sorry.
Everybody's uncomfy in the room.
Okay. So congratulations to Spencer.
Yes.
Long story short. And obviously we had the WNBA draft that just happened. That was huge.
Good things happen to people that come on the podcast.
It was so star-studded. For real. Like that WNBA draft was so much fun to watch. Have you ever watched one? I watched when Megan got drafted.
Yep.
It looked vastly different to what this one looked like, which is just really cool to see how far it's come. And obviously to see Caitlin picked first was incredible. We all knew it was coming, but still just really cool to see it solidified and out there, and sad to see her move on, of course, but also very excited for what the future holds there. So also the top selling jersey in Fanatics history. Do you know
history?
that? I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know that.
Is that right? Maybe I'm just spouting nonsense, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And I think they said that the night of the WNBA draft, or in a certain small amount of time, sorry, this is not like very like accurate information, but I saw it somewhere that she sold more jerseys that night than the Cowboys did all season long.
That's a bold statement.
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Can somebody look that up really quickly?
I saw that too. I can confirm it.
Please do, because I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Isn't that like incredible?
That's wild.
We're going to wait for the official on that.
Well, while he's looking that up, we can't overlook that another Hawkeye was drafted in the second round.
Kay Martin. That was exciting. And it kind of felt like a happenstance thing that she was in the crowd. Like super weird, typically when you're...
Well, she was hoping, but was there to support Caitlin.
I'm just saying it's a weird, like you just don't typically see that where they like come out of the crowd. You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool. And then she was sitting there with Jada Gyamfi and Gabby Marshall. And so I wanted to have Jada on the podcast because one, I feel like her story hasn't been really shared yet, because I was kind of looking for some stuff online and I was like, I don't really know too much about this girl. And so I thought this was a really cool opportunity to do that on the heels of, what does that mean? After or before? After.
Because it's on the heels. It's the back of the shoe.
Okay. On the heels of such an incredible season, but also I really think she has like an interesting perspective from where she is, or where she was last season in terms of like her position on the team. And so I think her perspective will be very interesting. And then also the fact that she did a lot of traveling with Caitlin when they went to New York.
And SNL and all that stuff.
Yeah, like she was at Saturday Night Live and all of that. So we'll get into that with her. But yeah, that was a really cool night and just super fun to watch. Aside from the Hawkeyes, of course, my favorite player that got drafted was Cameron Brink. Just because, one, her name is like, it's
a solid name.
It's for a Disney Channel original movie about a college basketball player. Cameron Brink, come on.
I could see that.
It's a great name. She's beautiful. She goes to the LA Sparks, which is the best team in the WNBA in terms of colors and name. These are things that I pay attention to.
Right.
And so the aesthetic of it all, it really felt right and it sat right with me. So I loved that part about it as well. And it was really cool to see like all these girls that, aside from like Paige Beckers was there, but obviously she wasn't in the draft, but it was really cool to see those girls that everyone has kind of been like pitting against each other.
Creating narratives where they have to, like Cardoso and Angel Reese.
Yeah, like just little stuff like that, which you're always going to have storylines and, media or just on the court in the competitive mindset.
Right.
You get the, this person versus that person. And that stuff happens in sports all the time. So it's not out of the ordinary. My point is, it was really cool to see like all of them together in one spot, like having a good time and hanging out. I don't know. It was just kind of a cool thing. So felt like a really cool, storyline that just kind of came to fruition there with the draft. So I had a lot of fun watching that. James, did you ever figure that out?
It is false. At least unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Sorry, Matt.
Thank you for holding us accountable, James.
Yeah, thanks, James. Dick Weiss. Just out here spreading misinformation potentially. I fell for it. I'll take it. I'll take the fall on that.
I do know that they sold out of everything but like one size or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. They had them all at Shields and stuff. And that was cool to see too. I mean, they still have the Iowa 22 t-shirt that's like front and center. And then they had the Fever one over, obviously, by the professional stuff. So if you're looking for one, last time I was at Shields in Iowa City, they had a lot of them, the t-shirt ones. So, all right, spring practice. Should we dive into that?
Yeah, let's talk some football.
Probably a good idea. Let's see. We went and it was kind of an interesting start time. When I was looking at pictures of past spring practices, I feel like they were in the afternoon and it like got to the point where it was dark. Like we had pictures of us, like it was dark outside and it had just gotten over. So it was kind of a different time. It was like 10:45 in the morning and it was
frigid,
really cold. It was so cold.
It was 85 the weekend before and then.
Yeah, insane, which is just really typical. Spring practice and kids day. Spring practice is usually like cold, windy, rainy. And then kids day is like sweltering, sick, hot, no wind.
Like 4-digit.
Yeah. Yeah. No wind and no cloud cover. Like it's just straight up torture. I don't know how that happens.
Every year.
Every year. Either way, it was fun that we took the kids and they enjoyed it. Dax loved it. He had a number, like a 1 jersey on and he had to like wear his football gloves and his helmet, had to take his Iowa like Hawkeye football that he carried in and he was so serious about it.
And shorts.
And he wore shorts, which
adamant about wearing shorts.
But then we saw Xavier Wongpa and he is also obviously number 1. And he like stopped and said hi to Dax. I was like, oh, hey, Xavier, whatever. Didn't even think to take a picture. So that's my bad. That was a bad mom moment, but I was just kind of letting him enjoy his time getting to talk to him. So anyway, that was our experience at the spring game. But Matt, tell me what you saw.
So obviously, most of the questions come from the offensive side of the football, which you want to talk about now? Do you want to talk about Deacon now or do we want to wait until later?
I think we can talk about it right now. So just found out this morning, which today is
the 23rd.
Today's the 23rd of April. And he just announced on his Instagram this morning that he was transferring or entering the transfer portal. So I'll be interested to see where he goes. And that, I think, to me, and I think to a lot of people, was a little unexpected, especially when we saw him taking a lot of reps with the ones at the spring practice.
I think it's unexpected and also not so unexpected.
Okay.
I think he came in expecting to be number 2. But now that he's got game tape, I don't know if he's like, after playing at a consistent level or at a consistent clip, now he wants to continue to play, knowing that Cade may come in and play. I mean, he was still, Cade was no pad, still the brace on, which I think KF said that he's still a couple months out.
He said June.
From full recovery. So he's still got a little bit of time there. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised. But obviously wish him the best. We saw him throw passes, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. But obviously wish him the best moving forward with wherever he ends up going. Yeah,
he was one of the coolest guys I think we've had on the podcast. Just like,
what are the wildest stories?
Craziest stories. There was turn after turn. And he was just, if you want to talk about down to earth, that was that guy.
And seemed like just to be happy to be here kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But not like happy to be here. Like, oh, just kind of take whatever opportunity I can get. Like, I think he really, truly believes in himself.
Oh, for sure.
He's got, right, like that kind of thing, but happy to be where his feet are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what you were getting at, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then that, and just want to reiterate, I don't know if everyone heard what I said, but when I said, Coach Ferentz said that Cade would be full go in June, I think people were like, had a lot of question marks about that when they saw him like not maybe moving to the ability that they thought he should be moving, or it didn't look as smooth as maybe they thought it should.
I hate it.
Hate what?
I hate it when people who aren't doctors do that. Because
Oh.
like I broke my foot multiple times. I probably didn't look very good there for a little bit. And then like a week later, I was fine. Like just because Cade went out there when it was cold and didn't do a boot the right way, like, okay, maybe it does still bother him. That doesn't mean that by the time June 3rd comes around or June 20th comes around that he's not feeling better. And I'm not saying that he's all of a sudden going to be, perfectly fine, but we just got to give him a little bit of leeway when it comes to injuries. And the part about injuries, and if you want to go back and listen to our conversation with Cade, I think it was really good when he talked about how much physically demanding it is, but it's more mentally demanding. Because it's not so much as like it's like, okay, I just do my knee pumps or my, calf raises or whatever it is to get my stuff going. But like, you have to go trust it again. You have to go out there and be a Division I athlete and trust that your knee is going to hold up. Yeah.
How did that, from your experience, obviously there's one specific route that your foot popped the first time.
Well, it was both times. I broke it, the exact same route, broke it twice.
Oh. Things I don't know about you.
Yeah, post corner, double move, boom, boom.
Post corner, double move. So then how hard was it for you post second foot surgery for you to like go out and do that again? So
post second foot surgery, I remember I was doing some footwork in the indoor while everybody else was out at practice. And I was getting close to getting back, but I wasn't quite back yet. And essentially I was doing some cones where I'd run straight, basically turn around, run over another cone, do another cone, kind of created a box, call it X drill because you go up and then make one of the lines of the X up, make another line. And I did it and I was supposed to cut off my left. And I got there and I like took a baby step and then cut off my right and like kind of tripped a little bit. And I don't remember ever being as mad at myself as I was in that particular moment because I've been cleared. I've seen the x-rays. Like I've got the stuff in my shoe. I've done all the muscle strengthening stuff in my foot. Like there's no reason for me to baby this thing, but that was all mental. So I'm back. I'm probably berating myself in my head before I get out there. And then it's like, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And then I did the rep just fine the next time. But that in that particular moment, I was scared that I was going to break it again. And so like, that's the biggest hurdle. Cause then after I got over that and I could run routes consistently, whether it be just a curl route or just something simple where I have to stick my left foot in the ground and then drive off that to get going. That's the biggest thing. Now to come back into the post corner and run that again, it was more so, I actually had to run it when I went down to my tryout at the XFL, when I went down there for a 45-minute workout or something. I had to run it there on the same side that I snapped it twice. It was kind of like a book ending to my football career. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I ended up running it, did just fine. But it kind of changed the way that I ran it because it's like, okay, clearly my foot is predisposed based on the arch of my foot, like all these things that they told me. So I just need to open up my hips a little more and make sure I'm striking underneath my hip when I drive out, like just little tiny things that then probably change the way I ran routes slightly. But at the same token is more mentally, whether or not I could trust my foot to do it. Same thing with Cade. He's got to trust his knee. And the other guys that were in street clothes, LeSean Williams was in a boot, so he didn't do anything. Seth Anderson didn't do anything. Kyler Fisher, street clothes. So like all those guys mentally just have to trust whatever it is that's ailing them. And that takes a long time, especially when you've been through multiple things like Cade.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's one thing that people forget to take into account is not just the physical, but the mental aspect of that.
Especially when it's multiple.
Yeah, for sure. That is tough. What else did you see?
Well, obviously all eyes were on the offense, as I alluded to earlier, but now it's a new scheme. One thing I noticed, a lot of motions, a lot of pre-snap stuff, which we didn't do as much under Brian the last couple of years, but a lot of jet sweeps and things of that nature. And a lot of very condensed sets. And what I mean is like a lot of people packed in, or it's stacks, or it's bunches, which usually is a way to try and make the defense declare what they're doing. In a sense of, are they playing man or are they playing zone? Or if you make them go in and out or combo, which essentially is like, okay, one DB is going to take the guy that comes in and the other DB is going to take the guy that goes out, if they're stacked. Well, you can kind of mess with him based on that because you can push out. And so he's trying to beat you to the flat and then you snap it off in front of him because now you went in. So now there's 2 ins as opposed to an in and out. Like little things like that you can play off of when you're stacked like that. Or they have to wait for you to declare where you're going and then they can react. And sometimes you're already in the hole in the zone as long as it's a quick read. So things like that I thought were good. Different concepts, of course, you're going to have that with the new offense. But for the most part, I think it went pretty well. I don't know as much. I know I mentioned before that I'm more of a pre-snap RPO kind of guy. There were some post-snap RPOs. Now Deacon was taking snaps, so obviously that's going to be different when Linus does. But Deacon, I think we were late on one of them or something. But it's a lot different of a read because now you're having to figure out whether or not you're going to give the ball or not. And now I'm going to pull it late, but now I got a quick setup and throw. It just requires a little bit more time. And anytime you're in a new system, you got to learn it and whatever. At this point, I would expect the defense to be light years ahead of the offense just because that's Coach Parker defense. It's been there for 20 some years, and now it's 50-year guys that chose to stay around. They're going to be ahead of the offense. It's just the way it is.
I really liked on the topic of the offense. I really liked when they mic'd up Tim Lester.
Oh, yeah.
That was really fun. It was just cool to see his personality a little bit. And his personality is like exactly what you would expect of a coach. I don't know
how to mean. Explain.
He's just like kind of like that dad humor, but like trying to like nudge at guys. Like, I don't know. He just he seems like he has a really good personality and like a really nice balance of like a respectable personality.
Coach and friend. But yeah, like a respectable personality, but like to where you want to work hard for him, but also like he's going to kind of give you flack and, mess with you a little bit. So I don't know. It was just really fun to watch. I like those kind of things. And just a nice insight for fans that, I don't know, there was a lot of question marks, which there still are obviously before the season. That's natural of any team at any point. Saw Weejan get a lot of reps on the outside and saw Jarriett. Number 84. He took quite a few reps now. Like I mentioned before, Seth Anderson was out. But it's kind of cool to see names that I haven't heard of step on and like now you get an opportunity. This isn't just, it is just another practice. It is spring practice.
Sure.
But this is the first time like these young guys get to play in front of fans. And it's different when you get the,
that's so awkward. It's so awkward about spring practice. Yeah. Or like, and it's not like the typical reaction that you would get of things.
Right.
Or it'll be like, ooh, because it's,
yes.
That's so funny.
Yes.
I never really thought about that. The other thing was number 89 has been taken from the receiver position and officially transitioned over to a tight end.
That was a solid 10 years.
I know. But when you have 2 receivers wearing 89 that both had the same foot problem, at some point, at that point, I think you got to say this 89 needs to go to a different position now. I'm just saying there's a little bit of bad juju. But 89
does fit better on a bigger body.
It does.
I'll give you that.
It does. It took up your whole, it was like
you don't have to say that.
They were like touching on the sides.
Stop it. That's because they gave me the wrong size.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's Greg's fault.
That's my bad.
Kidding,
you needed a schmedium.
They don't make schmedium jerseys, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry. That's why.
Bringing up bad memories.
Anything else? Running backs, any of that good stuff?
Yeah, I'm actually going to transition. Defense look good, like I mentioned. But actually, to come in and give the new punter Tory Taylor's number is incredible. Now, he's another Aussie, but to be like, hey, you're going to replace the guy that was one of the best punters to ever do NCAA, and you're just going to give him his number?
That hurt your feelings a little bit?
Didn't hurt my feelings, but like, this guy better be good. Like, you're wearing Tory's number.
He's got some wild hair.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He's got a mullet, but it's not like it's a wild mullet.
We'll have to get him on next year.
We have to.
Reese.
Yeah, that's non-negotiable.
He did have some boomers though, which was nice.
Yeah, that's fun to watch for sure. I think actually Tory had a big hand in getting him here is what it sounded like. It
wouldn't surprise me with another Australian thing. And I know he really liked Coach Woods. Tory
was a part of that same, what was that called?
Oh, if you haven't, by the way, check out our conversation with Tory Taylor. It was the very first episode of Talking Hawks.
The pilot. First one. The pilot. And here we are doing it again. Must have gone okay. Yeah, really good. Anything else?
No, I think, you gather what you gather from spring practice.
Yeah.
It's a microcosm of everything. It's one day. So you can't put too much stock in it. I know that everybody's going to be writing those giant articles and like we need a quarterback. Time will tell.
There's a Northwestern quarterback that's in the portal. I don't know his name. People are like, ooh, maybe, this one looks like maybe it could.
I mean, it's one of those things that I don't put too much stock into it until it happens.
Yeah.
The amount of people that speculated over the OC was crazy. But, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But I'll be curious to see how the scheme moves forward, because you only want to put so much stuff out there too, right? Like, I mean, you're understanding that other people may be here. You're putting this out to the public. This is the kind of scheme we're running, but you don't want to give everything. You want to stay pretty vanilla. So that way, when it comes to the season, you've got some stuff that you can pull out.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, with that, I say it is time to get on to our interview with Jada Gyamfi. I'm very excited for this one. Okay. We'll be right back. Did you know that Iowa City Tire does more than tires?
I mean, yeah, they've been servicing vehicles in the corridor for like 40 years.
Okay, but did you know that before someone had to tell you?
No. No, I didn't.
Well, check out how they're doing things in a very different way at Iowa City Tire and Service.
Where service actually comes first. Call 319-338-5401. Need a new roof, gutter, or siding in Eastern Iowa? Call JB Roofing, a local and reliable roofer with over 20 years of experience. They do one roof at a time, unlike others who juggle multiple projects and cut corners. They also serve a 45-mile radius around Kelowna and can help you with any insurance claims. Don't wait. Call 319-656-ROOF or visit their website, jbroofingkelowna.com, for a free estimate. JB Roofing, the small town roofer you can trust.
Okay, it is time for everyone to welcome our next special guest to the Talkin' Hawks podcast. She's from the women's basketball team, and I cannot wait to get her perspective on this entire season and postseason. Everyone, please welcome Jada Gyamfi.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everyone says it probably a little different, I would assume.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to pronounce. There's a lot of letters in there.
What's the worst one you've gotten?
I get Gyamfi a lot, which it just like, when someone says your name wrong and it just like hurts your ears. That's like the one that hurts the most. But I always explain it like a gym fee, like you pay a gym fee.
Right.
And then it's easier.
That makes sense.
Anyway, hello, welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
so excited that you're here.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The TikTok star.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to get into it. But first, we just like to start with all of our athletes that we have on here. Just start from the very beginning. First of all, from Iowa.
Yes.
Kind of like take us through that. What was your childhood like? How many siblings do you have? Let's just start there.
So I am the last of 4. So I have 2 older brothers and they are both 27. They're getting old. And they were huge into football, basketball, and then me and my sister would kind of just tag along, and she's 2 years older than me. So they obviously started playing a lot earlier than I did. And we would just like sit in the gym and watch them play. And then whenever I got to like maybe 2nd grade, because my parents were never like, you have to do a sport, you have to do this. They were like, you want to try it? Go for it. And I was like, I want to do that so bad. I was like, this looks like so much fun, all these friends. And so I started playing in 2nd grade in like the rec league, like with everyone who wanted to try. And I was a little too good to play in the rec league. So yeah. And I was like really tall when I was younger too. So they were like, this isn't fair. Let's try like an AAU club team. So I did that in 3rd grade and I fell in love with it. And so I played with my sister for a little bit. And yeah, it just spiraled me into middle school basketball, which I was also way too good for. I would bully people all the time in middle school. It's not even funny.
The honesty is so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was like, this is not fair. And then, yeah, played high school basketball, loved that. I really fell in love with basketball when I got into high school, and like the competition got so much better. And I played for All Iowa Attack out of Ames whenever I was in high school. So we would play at all the Nike UIBL tournaments, and we would go up against like outstanding players like Jada Williams. I watched Kiki Rice play a couple times, but it was just really fun. I mean, it was a bunch of girls from Iowa. I played with Hannah Stolke. I played with Sydney, who's on the team. Taylor, like half of our team played for Attack. So, and we would just win. And I was like, this is amazing. We just beat up on everybody basically. But yeah, super. I wasn't very competitive growing up. My siblings were, and they were like well, obviously my brothers are 7 years older than me. So they were like way stronger. They would never pass me the ball. And they'd just be like, stand in the corner. I'll pass it to you when you're open. And I would just be like,
Oh.
and it was
so sad.
Yeah, I would always cry to my mom. I'm like, they never passed me the ball. And she was like, well, you got to be better. And I was like, okay, fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned a lot from them, I'd say. And my mom played basketball at Mount Mercy. So
Really?
yeah. And she was really, really good in high school. And I just wanted to be just like her. So here I am.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So you said you're 2 older brothers and you said they're both 27.
Yes.
So are they twins?
No, they're not twins. So my parents had one each before they
Gotcha.
met each other.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think they're like 6 or 9 months apart, something around there.
Oh my
But
gosh, that's crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
So do you think that you got a lot of obviously your competitive drive, you said
Mhm.
kind of came from them,
Yes.
but also like watching them, you said they were really aggressive. And
Mhm. Oh my
then
gosh, yes.
when you got to the point where you're like in middle school, you're playing at the rec league, like you probably took a little bit of that into that.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of the other girls that are just joining rec league are like,
Mhm.
I'm just here to have a good time.
Yeah. And my
Jada's out
brothers,
here
like,
bullying.
yeah, they played basketball like football players, obviously, because that was like their predominant sport. And so when I started playing and they started calling fouls, I was like, what the heck? I've never heard of
Calling
this.
fouls.
Yeah. So it was really funny. It was a lot to adjust to,
Yeah.
but I definitely think they made me very strong
Mhm.
coming into AU. And then my sister probably gave me more of that drive to like be better than everyone else because she was like crap talking the whole time and she was always better than me. We played together for 2 years in high school and I hated it because she was better than me. But
Mhm.
yeah,
And then did she go on to,
she played 1 year at UNI and then she was like, college basketball isn't for me.
gotcha.
So yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool experience though, at least.
Yeah, it is. And I was nice that I always call them like the guinea pigs. So they experienced everything first. So I was like, okay, I know what to expect a little bit. Like this is going to be great. And I think her experience prepared me a lot for college, but I've also been blessed with a pretty good experience. So
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are kind of on the same page there. I'm also the youngest
Mhm.
and I love to be able to watch my siblings like mess up.
yes,
Not like,
there's something
oh.
about it. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
And then you can say, well, I'm not going to do that,
Mhm.
you know?
And then
It's
you're
like,
the perfect child. And it's like,
thank you so much. I'm
Yes.
so glad that we're
being
really,
the youngest is the best.
It
I tell
really
people all the
is.
time, I'm like, yeah, I'm the baby. It's the best thing ever.
It really is.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say with Iowa Attack, I feel
Mhm.
like you probably don't have a whole lot of free time to do other sports, but
Yeah.
was that something that you wanted to do or did you up until like middle school? Because a lot of the athletes that we have on here are
Mhm.
like K Martin played a bunch of sports. A lot of the football guys play a bunch of sports.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know if that's something that Iowa Attack would really allow you to do.
I think before I made the move to Attack my ninth grade year, so like 8th grade going into my freshman year. And I played volleyball up until 8th grade. And I think it was a really easy choice for me to be like, I don't really want to play volleyball. Like I'm really good at basketball and this is what I'm going to stick to. But there's definitely an option to play multiple sports if you want to play at Attack. But if you want to be really good, and they do a great job of being very honest with you. So they're like, if you want to play college basketball, then you need to play basketball and
Gotcha.
focus on that. But that was like, I didn't even need to have that conversation. I was like, volleyball, I like the contact of basketball. Like, because
Sure.
in volleyball, you're just like, yeah, ace, whatever. But I was like, there's something about like more team style play that I just prefer.
Sure.
So it was a really easy decision for me.
Well, and not to talk bad about volleyball, but it's a lot more routine, it sounds
Mhm.
like, as
Yeah.
opposed to basketball, which kind of has, you got your buzzer beaters against, Michigan State. You
Yeah.
got like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like basketball kind of has that allure initially.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you get involved with Iowa Tech? Like, how did you get there?
So they recruited me to play for quite a while, like while I was still playing with Kingdom Hoops, which is the club I started with. And I'm like a very loyal person. So I was like, I can never leave my team. I can never leave my coaches. I was like when I decided to make the move, I was like heartbroken. I was like, oh my gosh. But it was the best decision. And they would come to high school games and talk to me. And I think that was like the selling point for me. Cause I was like, I don't care who's on the team. Like I want to play for a good coach. And that's how they won me over there. I mean, I still talk to them very frequently about everything. They come to our college games, obviously, because we have so many girls who are Attack alums. So yeah, they had just so many opportunities. And that was another big thing, like playing in front of a ton of coaches against the best players in the nation was like another big driving factor for me to go there.
So is it something like when Iowa Tech shows up, like colleges know kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And thankfully, Dixon Jensen, who's like the head of Attack, has a lot of great connections. Like he has a great relationship, obviously, with our coaches because he has so many players here. A lot of the in-state teams, which was like, I knew I wanted to play in Iowa. So his relationship with our coaches and honestly, any coach in the nation, he probably has a great relationship with. He's just like, he's that guy. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And knowing not just that you're going to compete, but then also you have this nice little pipeline that has connections. That's really nice. High school. So you were a transfer at one point. So where did you start in high school and then where did you end up?
I started at Urbandale and I played my freshman and sophomore year. I wanted to transfer before I started just so I could play for like a really good team. And I was really close to Johnston, which is where I ended up. And they made it to state every year, competed for a state championship most of the years. But I didn't want to leave my sister. So I played with her for 2 years. And then whenever our season ended, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. This has been great, but like, I want something more.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. So that kind of threw a wrench in my plans. But it was also kind of nice because I was really nervous about starting at a new school with all these people I had never met. My sister's not there. None of my friends are there. So I got to do online school and like ease my way into workouts and practice and make some friends there. And then Johnston was like the best decision ever. I loved my 2 years there. I wish I would have gone all 4, but I'm really happy with the 2 years I had.
And then did you guys end up winning state championship? Is that right?
We did. Yes.
Okay.
We were the first team to go undefeated.
Wow.
We won a state championship in 5A. So yeah, I was like, that was the icing on the cake. And my senior year, I was like, this is perfect. I'm so ready.
Yeah.
I did everything I needed to do.
So what did recruitment look like for you?
My recruiting started, in my opinion, early, but nowadays it's like way earlier, I feel like.
Sure.
With social media and just the availability to so much film, I feel like. So I started getting recruited in 7th grade to like some smaller schools.
That still feels early.
Yeah. I was like, and at that point, I didn't know if I wanted to play in college. So I was like, I don't even know what high school I want to go to. What do you mean college?
Right.
So that was like a huge deal. And I also felt really cool. I was like, oh my gosh. But then it got really busy, probably the summer after I joined Attack. That's when like I started to get more interest. But I was always kind of just waiting on the Iowa offer. I was like, yeah, it's so cool to say I got an offer from this university and play at this school. But I was like, oh, I want Lisa Bluter to call me. I want to play for Iowa. And I got that offer my freshman summer. And then I pretty much stopped talking to everyone else. I was like, you got a lot of things to offer, but you're not beating Iowa. This is where I want to go. So I think I committed a year after I got my offer. Because then with COVID, you kind of had to make decisions on the fly because availability was when they were offering 5th years. And like, obviously there's girls like Kate, 6 years. So you kind of wanted to secure your spot. And I was like, I don't know why I'm still talking to all these schools. I know where I want to go. And I just committed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what was the draw to Iowa?
I grew up a Hawk fan. My mom, all my siblings, we always said that we all 4 wanted to go to Iowa and wear an Iowa jersey. And I was the only one who got the opportunity. And I was like, I'll be darned if I don't capitalize on this.
Yeah.
And it's like the sweet spot. So I'm from the Des Moines area. And then my mom's side of the family is from Eastern Iowa. So it's like the perfect middle drawing ground for all of us. And then, yeah, my mom lived in Iowa City for a little bit. My aunt lives here. I have a lot of family that's close. That was like a big part. And then when I came on visits, there's just something about Carver and there's something about the fans and the team. Like, oh my gosh, you can just see it. And it's the same as it was then as it is now. I don't know. You just look on the floor and you're like, that is so fun. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that first time I ran out of the tunnel, I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
Yeah. So what year would that have been?
My freshman year?
Yes.
Or last year. So that would have been
last year.
I don't even know what year it is now. 22 to 23. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so were you the same class as Hannah Stolke?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And then you guys played on All Iowa Attack together.
Yeah. Me, Hannah, and Taylor. So our whole, it was so nice. That was also, Hannah was a big part of the fact why I came here. She was their number one recruiter for me. She was like, hey, what about Iowa? Have you been to Iowa recently? What do you think about going to Iowa? And I'm like, I know you really want me to go to Iowa. And then Taylor joined our team and it was like, and then Sid. So we had all 4 of us playing together. And I was like, how am I supposed to go anywhere else?
Yeah.
So they helped a lot.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So then I kind of have a question too. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't want to go there yet. Freshman year, you kind of had some injuries.
Yeah.
Right? So take me kind of through that, what that looked like for you.
So in the summer, everything was like great, perfect, definitely getting adjusted.
Yeah.
Had to learn a lot. I will never forget like our first live play. I was guarding Kate and I was like, oh God. She was coming at me full speed, put one right in my chest. And I was like, oh. And I was like, I am a lot weaker than I thought I was.
Sure. You thought you liked contact.
Yeah. And then I was like, here comes Kate
shoulder.
Martin full speed. And I was like, oh no. But yeah. And then we got to the fall and I got a concussion in practice trying to take a charge, which I used to do a lot. Now I don't do as much. I've learned my lesson. And it was from like a great team player. So like a college man, and just like knocked me over. And I was like, oh Lord, I got up and I was like, And it was pretty bad. So that took me out 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. It was like nothing that I'd ever experienced before. Really hard to come back from, not just athletically, but also academically, which is like a whole other thing. And then I came back and I think I had 2 practices and then I closed out on McKenna Warnock, sprained my ankle. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so that was like 2 weeks, a week in a boot, a week trying to run again. And at that point I was kind of just like, whatever happens the rest of the season, like I'm just happy to be here.
Sure.
I've made it through a lot already and it's only November. It was like right before Big Ten play started. So I was like, this is fun. I'm okay with whatever the cards give me.
Yeah. How much, how long did it take you to come to that, I guess, mental conclusion of, I'm just glad to be here, essentially?
Yeah. I think it happened pretty quickly, especially when, I came in knowing that they returned 5 starters, and it's not just like any 5 starters. It was like the 5 starters who have played together for 3 years. So I knew like going into it, I was like, I'm going to be whatever you guys need me to be. And I quickly found that like the best thing that I could give was my energy and like my spirit on the bench. And I was like, man, they love this. This is easy for me. I got front row seats to the best show in the nation. Like, why not go all out? So it was definitely a difficult adjustment, but I knew that I had to do it, not just for myself, but for my team. And then once the year started and we were that good, I was like, this is easy to cheer for. Like I can't be thinking about myself at all because this is amazing basketball.
Yeah, you mentioned like giving your energy. That is definitely one thing that you notice, like even just in like the promo videos that women's basketball puts out, right? Or you notice it at games and all the behind the scenes kind of things, is you're usually the one that's comforting Kate Martin after she gets is it broken nose or bloody nose, right? Like during the Final Four game or the championship game. Like that. And then you see like the circle videos, you're typically sitting next to Lisa Bluter and you're like, when she gets emotional, kind of like giving her like a hand on her back kind of thing. And also like you come in and you've got these girls that obviously you played with, are familiar with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were familiar with Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin, but you come in as this young freshman and you like form a bond with them very quickly.
Yeah.
To the point where now you're traveling with Caitlin Clark for the WNBA draft. And we'll get into that as well. But how do you do that? Like, I mean, I think that's a little intimidating for most freshmen to come into a scenario where you have these girls that have been playing together for how long?
Yeah. And
to be able to form that relationship. How did you do that?
I'm just lucky that they picked me, honestly, to be their friend. I mean, I don't know. I think the thing that draws a lot of people to me is my humor. I find myself to be very funny, and a lot of people say that. So I think that's like the bridge. And then, I don't know, I'm super open and honest with conversations. And I've learned with, I think, from my siblings being the youngest, like I was always kind of the mediator. Like if you needed anything to talk about anything, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to listen. Probably don't want my opinion, but like I'm going to listen and I'm going to be there for you. And I think that was a big part of it. I also leaned on them a lot, which I think helped them trust me because I was like, hey, I'm going through this and you have been through this. Like Kate was a big factor for me my freshman year because her freshman year, she also dealt with injury. So I was able to confide in her a lot. Caitlin was an easy one because she just, we could sit and laugh for hours. She's really funny. I'm really funny. And I knew her kind of coming into this. So I was like, not worried about her. And then, I don't know, Gabby's like, we have the same exact personality. So that also it all just kind of meshed really well. And then I think my freshman year, we got super close. And then over the summer coming back and throughout this year, like it just really fused into some really strong friendships. And now I'm like, why did I pick 3 seniors to be best friends with who are all leaving me at the end of the year? Yeah. Painful, but I'm really thankful that they chose to be my friend and that I had their friendships kind of to prepare me for what's next.
Right.
Yeah.
So then let's get into the era. Mm-hmm. You're a big Taylor Swift fan, right?
Huge. Huge.
Okay. Well, we'll just, I guess, go there too. Do you have a favorite song on the new album?
Oh, man. Okay. So I have to be honest.
We opened up a can of worms.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I haven't listened to the second drop of cause she released 31 songs, which I'm like, I don't have time for it right now, but I listened to the first portion and I've been listening nonstop. And I think my favorite song is Down Bad. It's kind of like, I don't know, it reminds me of the weather that's going on, like the summer's coming, and it kind of just is like it sounds like it'd be sad, but it's really upbeat. But I love every song.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not one that I'm like, oh, I would never listen to that.
Sure.
Yeah. I've got some Taylor Swift issues over here. It's bad. Yeah.
Well, we won't dive too deep then because we'll be here for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you looking for a website that boosts your online presence and showcases your brand? Look no further than Digital Boost, locally owned and operated website company that delivers high quality websites at affordable prices. Whether you need a simple landing page, a full-fledged e-commerce site, or custom tailored marketing solutions, Digital Boost has you covered. Contact them today and get a free quote by emailing Curtis at digitalboostia.com. Digital Boost, the website company that gives you a boost.
Rest easy when you have the Bugman's top-rated defense protecting your home and business, providing maintenance and prevention treatments for any problem. Call today for a free quote, 563-554-BUGS. You'll also receive a 15% discount off your first treatment if you mention the podcast. Bugman Pest Control, proudly serving the Hawkeye State since 2008. The Appliance Barn offers a wide range of high-quality appliances at unbeatable prices. Whether you're in the market for a new refrigerator, dishwasher, or washing machine, they've got you covered. They also have a delivery and setup department to ensure your appliances get delivered and installed quickly. To find out more, visit appliancebarn.com. Looking to update your home with a remodel, new addition, or new build? Contact MJC Carpentry, a local and reliable contractor with over 10 years of experience based in North Liberty, Iowa. MJC Carpentry's highest priority is crafting a perfectly tailored home. Visit their website, www.micahjconstruction.com, to learn more. And for a free estimate and consultation, don't hesitate to call 319-461-4786.
Locally owned and operated, Performance is a full-service restoration company serving Eastern Iowa. As an IICRC certified firm, their multi-licensed technicians have decades of experience in water, mold, and fire mitigation. Whether it's your home or business, this is the team you want in a time of need. Performance Restoration. Call 319-626-2292.
Okay, so you travel with Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin, and Gabby Marshall to the WNBA draft. Yeah. Just take me through that entire experience. First of all, did they invite you? Was it like oh my gosh, let's all do this thing? What was how did you get into that situation?
Oh man. I think Caitlin had mentioned it loosely while we were at the Final Four, oh my gosh, you guys should totally come to the draft with me. And we were all like, yeah, sure. Not really thinking that it would form into anything. And then I can't even think of the timeline, but whenever we got back, because I think we got back on a Tuesday and then we ended up flying to New York City on Saturday. So it all happened very quick. But I think she texted us on Wednesday and she was like, hey, I need your guys' full names. We're going to get you a flight. And I was like, what? She was like, yep, we're going to leave on Saturday. And I'm like, okay. So she handled all of that for us. And she was like, I mean, she did everything. She's really great at doing, like I said earlier, she doesn't get frazzled by anything. She's like, yeah, you're coming with me. Like, this isn't weird or crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I never thought I would go to a WNBA draft. Like, this is insane. But it was so fun. And she was obviously super busy. So we got to be like tourists, me, Kate, and Gabby. So we walked around a bit. We saw like the 9/11 museum, which was really cool. And then we got to go to like all the cool things with Caitlin, like the draft, SNL, which was by far the coolest thing I'll ever do in my whole entire life. I was like, I've peaked. This is it for me. Yeah, but I was like, the whole time I was, trying to be where my feet are. I was like, oh, I should be in New York City. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm from Johnston, Iowa, and I'm in New York City with all these famous, cool people, and they all want pictures with us. And I'm like, what am I doing here? But I'm here. So
sure.
Yeah.
That is insane. Who all did you meet at Saturday Night Live?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it started with at the airport, we were just going down the escalator, going to baggage claim. And I look over and I just see this woman and I'm like, that kind of looks like Melissa McCarthy. But I'm like, I can't tell. And then I hear her talk. And I was like, that is Melissa McCarthy. And so we like stopped her when she got off the escalator. And I was like, Kate was very calm in the situation. But I was just staring at her and I was like, because her voice, I was like, oh my gosh. And she was being so funny. She was like, we asked her for a picture and she goes, yeah, but I look terrible. Why do you guys look like you do push-ups for a living? And Kate was like, oh, well, we play basketball at the University of Iowa. And she was like, stop. My daughters love you guys. And we were like, you are kidding. And so she was super sweet and we got a picture with her. And that was like probably my favorite person that I met the whole trip. But we met Amy Schumer, who's also hilarious. Kenan Thompson, Ryan Gosling, huge fan. Emily Blunt. I got a hug from Emily Blunt and I was like, this is crazy. And then just to see like all the regulars on SNL, like in person, I was like, this is insane. I was like, this is crazy. And we met Chris Rock after SNL. And I was like, his voice, it's the voices that get me. Cause like you see him and you're like, you see a lot of people in passing, but then you hear them talk and you're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But yeah, and we met so many people and I was just sitting there like, I felt like I was 11 years old and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm around all these people. What am I doing here?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And what's it like sitting in the Saturday Night Live, like room or not room, but like the set, I guess, and watching it all?
Hilarious. I was like, Caitlin did a great job. She really made me laugh really hard. But I was surprised. It's a lot smaller than it looks because it's really just like, the one stage where they do all the skits. And then Chris Stapleton was also there, a huge fan as well. And we actually sang him happy birthday in Caitlin's dressing room. And that was another moment where I was like, I just sang Chris Stapleton happy birthday. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, it was insane. And then to see how it all works, because, they run off the stage and they change and we'll put on like bald caps and stuff and like walk out looking like a completely different person in like 2 minutes. So that was also crazy. And like all the cameras, that's another thing I thought was really cool. Like there was one guy who was sitting on like a contraption with the camera and you could see like what his camera was showing and it all looks so smooth and he's just like floating around in the sky. And I'm like, this is how this stuff works. I would have had no idea.
Yeah.
But it was really cool experience.
Yeah, I would say so. And so you get to see Caitlin in all these situations and obviously people across the world from the outside see her as very, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Composed, I think is probably the best word, whether she's on the court typically or like off the court. She just handles herself unbelievably well. And you've kind of alluded to that too. But you see her in those situations and are you kind of like, how are you doing this? Because there are a lot of moments where I see her in interviews and I'm like, how do you stay so even keel? And so, right, like singing Chris Stapleton happy birthday, singing Emily Blunt. Like, what is it like to watch her, knowing her from middle school and then up until this point, just being able to witness that, I guess?
It's the weirdest thing ever because like when I look at her, she's just Caitlin. She's just like her normal self. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just hang out for hours, like go get food, whatever. And then I see her in those situations and I see, people staring and they like are dying for her attention. And I'm like, this is so bizarre. And she handles it beautifully. Like she never slips up. She does a great job talking to media, talking to fans. I love, like, that's probably the most inspiring thing about her, in my opinion. She's an outstanding basketball player. We all know that. But like how she acts in public and how she treats people is like something that I think a lot of people should pay attention to, that she doesn't get enough credit for.
Yeah.
And she handles so much. Like even I was talking about earlier with you guys, like her schedule, like I couldn't even handle that. I'm like, I got 3 classes in one day. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? And she's like finishing her degree, flying everywhere, doing a bajillion things. And she just does a great job. It's outstanding. I don't know how she does it.
And signing multi-million-dollar deals in the process.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah. It's amazing. And it's every day for her. She just wakes up and she does it. And she's like, she doesn't complain. Mm-hmm. She's never like, gosh, I just want to get out of here and go lay down. She's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and like grab a snack here. And I'm like, girl, you are really crazy. But I'm like insanely proud of her, especially seeing her evolve from like high school self and what she was like in middle school. And I always knew that she was the best player I had ever seen. But she is literally the best player ever in college basketball. And I'm lucky that I am close with her, and I'm lucky that she's my friend, not just because of that, but because of who she is as a person.
I think that's the thing too, is you kind of alluded to, it's like she's she's the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like whether you're sitting in your apartment playing Fortnite or grabbing food, or if she's in front of 90 cameras at SNL.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of people see with other players or other stars or whatever it might be, is that they're kind of a different person behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hide that, right? For an extended amount of time. But with the amount of media attention she gets, the fact that she is just genuinely being herself.
Yeah.
It's just second nature to her to just be who she is and tell the truth in herself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
she's
right?
Absolutely. She's very real. Like I've never looked at her and been like, what are you doing? Like that's not like, she just is herself. Yeah. And she's goofy, and she is goofy on TV in games. Like everyone has seen that, but she's the same exact way, like as she is when we go get food. Like she never turns off herself for anyone. She's just like, what you see is what you get. And I love that about her. And I think that's another big reason why people are so drawn to her outside of her talent. It's because she doesn't put on a show at all. Like she's, just Caitlin in sweatpants, like chilling, goes to the golf course like everyone else. Like she's just normal.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Iowa coaching staff. Lisa Bluter is one of my role models in life. I just think she is so wonderful. On the court, obviously, the way that she coaches you guys, the way that she treats people reminds me. The foot stomp, of course.
Oh my gosh.
The way that you describe how Caitlin treats people, it reminds me of the way that Lisa Bluter carries herself and the way she treats people wherever she is. And so I guess, what's it like being coached by her? What are some things that you've kind of picked up? You said you learned a lot your freshman year.
Yeah.
How was she there for you through all the trials you went through your freshman year? Just kind of talk about the staff.
I think she's outstanding. I have learned a lot from her, honestly. I think we've said it a couple times, the be where your feet are. I think that's something that we've all taken from her that she does a great job of. And one thing that I love about her is she is so down to earth. Like she walks through, and she's obviously been coaching for a while, and she's seen, 1,500 people in Carver up to however many thousand can fit in there now, max capacity. And she is still just like Caitlin. She's herself. Like she walks through that crowd of people cheering her name, and she's grabbing hands with everyone, thanking them for being there. And I'm like, we're at the national championship. Like obviously people are here. And she's like, no, like, thank you guys for being here. We have the best fans in the world. And she just shows that gratefulness all the time. And she instills that in us as well. So I've definitely learned that from her. And I think she just does a great job of reminding us how powerful we are, and that we are inspiring the next generation of not only little girls, which is outstanding, but little boys. Everyone is watching and they're inspired by us. And she reminds us of that all the time. And I was just talking with, who was I telling? Gabby last night, because we went to clean her locker out at Carver, and I was like, oh. And I told her, and I was like, 2 or 3 years ago, if someone asked me to come bring trash bags and clean out 5 years worth of stuff out of a locker, I would have been like, you're kidding. I'm tired. I'm not doing all that. But what I've learned from being on the team and being around our coaches is to be selfless and to do things for other people, even if you're tired, even if you've done it a million times. Just the impact that you can have on other people. That's like I learned that really fast coming on campus. And I think that Coach Bluter has just filtered that down between the generations of girls who have come here. And even from like the alums, like you can tell, you just get along with them right away because we all have like that Bluter mentality in us, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's done a fantastic job. She's one of my role models. And that's why I picked that spot right next to her in the circle. Cause I'm like, I want to listen to what you're saying. I want to hear every word. She's great.
One of the coolest parts about that is that she is a basketball coach at a Division I program. Mm-hmm. The expectation is to win. Mm-hmm. But the thing that you just expounded on for the last, 5 minutes is how she cares more about the kind of person you are.
Yeah, 1000%.
And we've come up with that on a lot of people that have come on this podcast. Kate Martin alluded to the same thing. Like, I feel like that puts parents at ease too, knowing that you're not just going into like a basketball factory, even though hopefully it turns into something like that.
Yeah.
But like that's a byproduct because you guys buy in and are being good people. Like that's what's really cool to hear. Like now that we've got 2 kids, like that's who I want my kid to play for.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody who cares about the person and then the success will follow.
Yeah. Like in our locker room above the door, as you're walking out, it says, better people make better Hawks. And I think being on this team has made me a much better person. And obviously, like, she cares about winning. We all care about winning. We wouldn't be doing this if we were just fine with losing. But she's never like, we got to win this game. Like, I don't care how it happens, win the game. She's like, play Iowa basketball. Be yourself. Don't be anything else. You guys are the reason we're here. Like, just play. She's never like, I don't know. It's just, she's like,
couldn't even fathom it because it's not that way.
Yeah. She's like, everything we've done up to this point is the reason we're here, and we're just going to keep doing it. And it kind of works for us. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been working with the Hawks for, next season will be my 9th season. And so I remember when it was the 1,500 people and they had these big black curtains that would come down to kind of push people toward the front. And then all of a sudden I'm standing in front of, and you guys are playing in front of 17,000 people, standing room only, right? Like, I mean, that's a really short amount of time for that big of a change to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just really incredible. And I remember, I think it would have been the off season before, I don't know, been like probably 2 years ago. And I did an event with Lisa and she was like, we want to sell out season tickets. And I kind of was like looking around the room like, I don't know, like that's a really lofty goal. And she did it.
Yeah.
Right? Like with the help of you guys, the help of Caitlin and the incredible players that she's recruited. Like it's just absolutely incredible to watch and no one like more deserving. And you talk about the like selflessness and like do the extra thing, go the extra mile to be appreciative and grateful. I remember when there were 1,500 fans or maybe even less in the stands at one point. And after a few of the games, or a lot of the home games, she would ask the players, like, you guys would go out and like shake the hands of the people that came.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for being here. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you always take the time to stand in the middle, wave to everybody, right? The thanks Hawks kind of thing. You can hear it.
I love that part.
Thanks Hawks. Thanks Hawks.
Thanks Hawks.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
But it's those little things. And it really cultivates like a pretty incredible culture.
Yeah.
Because it does trickle down from the top. So.
Yeah. I definitely will leave after 4 years and be really proud of the person that I've become. And a lot of it, most of it will have to do with who I played for and who I played with.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. TikTok. Let's go there. We got Stardom overnight on TikTok, which I don't know. I don't think that's very easy to do. So tell me about how it all started.
Well, obviously, like any person, you have social media, TikTok. I loved posting TikToks like throughout high school. And whenever I got to college and the first time I made any TikTok with an Iowa shirt on, it started to grow my freshman year. But I never really got into like lifestyle TikToks, which I guess is kind of what I do now until this year.
Can you explain that for those of us that don't know what lifestyle TikTok
So
is?
my-
i.e. me.
My thing on TikTok is get ready with me. So that's when like, and I'll do them before a game, or now I do them kind of whenever. And so I'll just like sit down and do my makeup and just talk about, you know, what's going on with the season. Like whenever we were in the tournament, talking about who we play, what happened in the last game, answer questions, like whatever people ask me. I always am like, ask me whatever you want, like about, because people are obviously really curious about what goes on behind the scenes. Like even just like little things, like someone asked me, they're like, so do you guys get ready for games at the arena or in the hotel? And what is that like away or home? And like, you wouldn't think to ever talk about that, but it's like, people want to know, like, what is it like when, like, what's a game day like? So that's kind of what I do. A day in my life when we're not practicing, what it looks like when we do have practice, what school is like, how do we manage that? So that's kind of like what I talk about on TikTok. And I made one TikTok in the winter that kind of started the whole thing. And it was a video and it was like POV, which is point of view.
Thanks.
Yeah, I gotcha. And it was like, my teammate just hit a buzzer beater and now I'm at home playing Fortnite. And I posted it like, I don't know, 20 minutes after the game was over. Cause like, I don't know, we won the game and I just went home like I normally do. And it blew up. And like, I had a bunch of like Overtime Women's Basketball, which is a really popular like women's basketball account. They were like, hey, do you own the rights to this? Can I post it? And I was like, sure, I don't care. Yeah. And then it just blew up and that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And then I had made a few get ready with me's before and I was like, I'm just going to see like if people want to see me get ready for a game. Boy, did they. They loved it. And it just kept growing. And then whenever, like the further the season got on and the further we progressed throughout the NCAA tournament, I would just gain like thousands of followers by the minute. Like I would check my phone and it would be like 10,000 followers in a day. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. And even like when I look at it now and it's like 80 something thousand, I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do like, you can go live, which is like a live stream.
Okay.
And so I do that a lot too. And I've gotten a lot of messages of people being like, I just love how real you are. Like I'll go live and I'm like in my sweats, like no makeup on. I'm like, yeah, I just rolled out of bed. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm with Gabby or like with my dog or whatever, and just answer people's questions and they love it. And I'm like, well, if this is what you want, if you want an insider view, like here it is. Like I'll share anything. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
And that's, I think kind of hard. People probably are attracted to it because it's hard to come by on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything's edited and perfect and all the things. So.
I don't have time for that. I keep it very real. I'm like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I will say the get ready with me with the makeup and everything, really good. But I noticed way before you were doing get ready with me's because you always have the blush on point at games.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I've noticed from across the court.
Yeah,
I was like,
know.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
So you're doing well.
Thank you. I try very hard. And it's opened a lot of really great opportunities for me, obviously, because, that has led to like other companies reaching out, a lot of brands, which is like, I mean, I grew up watching YouTube. Like I feel like a lot of the people in my generation did, and watching influencers on YouTube, and they would get PR and all this stuff. And like, now I get a little bit of that. And I'm like, this is like everything that for any moment in my life that I'd ever wanted, like whether like national championship, like outstanding team, great college experience. Then there's all this social media stuff, which thankfully now with NIL, like that's an opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is like, I'm checking all my boxes. I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, it might go downhill after these 4 years. Like this might be my peak, really.
When things like that, we talk about this quite a bit. When things like that, and you're like, things are just falling into place. Maybe it's like a youngest child thing, but you're like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes, you get it. She gets it.
I'm an only child, so I don't get a lot of the.
I don't know. It's just something about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to talk a little bit about like we're parents, obviously, and our kids are very young, like a 3-year-old and almost 1-year-old. And so we always like to ask, like, what was it like being parented by your parents
Yeah.
as it pertained to sports? I mean, you had mentioned a little bit about like your mom saying, well, you just got to be better, that kind of thing, where I think that mentality is maybe a little harder to come by. these
So
days.
that's
I
like a
don't
little
know.
tough love. When I heard it, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
And so we're always curious, like, what did that look like? Like I said, like as it pertained to sports, what was that parenting like, or their style?
Yeah. Well, so my dad is from Africa. So his sport was soccer. So he has no idea what's happening on a basketball court, which I'm very thankful for. So his thing was always like, I mean, he thinks that we're the greatest players ever. Like he thinks I'm the best player in the whole entire world. And I'm like, I love that so much, Dad. I love that confidence. So he was never like, I mean, he was just checking the score and he's like, whoever wins, like, ooh, we're happy. And then my mom came from like her whole family, she's from, well, she has 3 other sisters, so 4 girls. Then my grandpa was a superintendent, played basketball, coached, all that stuff. So they're like basketball through and through, small town Iowa. So they really loved basketball. Like, and I feel like that's just an Iowa thing. So definitely like I felt like I had to work really, really hard to, you know, make that side of my family proud. And my mom was like, I don't care how many points you score. Like, are you having fun? Do you want to play? Like that was more her style. Like I said to you guys earlier, she never was like, you have to play basketball. You have to do volleyball. You have to do whatever. She was like, oh, you want to play? Like, sure. Why not? And I think I'm very thankful that that was their style. I mean, they never were like, all right, tonight you play this team. You need X amount of points, X amount of rebounds, 0. Like that was never it. They were just like, I mean, are you proud of yourself? We're proud of you no matter what you do. And they are still like that every single day with every single game, whether I play 0 minutes or however many minutes. They're like, we're just proud of you. Like you wake up and you work hard and that's all we could ask for. So,
I mean, so I hear that and then I hear the tough love of like, you got to be better. Like, is that said in jest or is it like, no, like be better so he throws you the ball? Like I can see that 2 different ways.
Yeah, I think it depends on.
Also being the youngest makes it different too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. That's definitely right. And I think I learned also when I was younger, I would complain a lot more. And then in high school, I was just better. Like I was never better than my siblings, obviously, at basketball. I would say I'm better now. I hope they hear that if they're watching. But I think if I would complain about that would be my mom's answer. Like if I was like, man, like I had 10 points, like, oh my gosh, she'd be like, make shots. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And so that taught me one, don't go for her for comfort if that's what you're going to complain about, because she's going to be honest with you. And she also knew what she was talking about. So she's like I would struggle a lot with free throws and she's like, it's all in your head. Like you can make the shot. So make the shot. And I would be like, okay, you're right. But I was looking for something more like, oh, it's going to be okay. And she's like, no, make the shot. So I definitely learned like, don't complain about certain things because she'll give it to you like the real deal. But as I got older, it was more just like, I didn't care as much about points and that's not really the player I am. So I wanted to hear more just like, I'm proud of you. And they do a great job of that. So
one thing too that like interests me because currently I coach football at Solon and that could potentially be my son in, 12 years, 13 years, 3, I guess 11 years. Anyway. And so you said your mom played collegiate basketball. Is it weird getting coached by somebody else and then having does your mom just kind of let them do their thing or does she be like, hey, by the way, like on this pick, you need to be like this.
Yeah.
Like, is there a balance?
I started playing actually for her. Like my sister, like she's 2 years older than me. So my mom would just like give me like a huge jersey and I would go in and like think around a little bit. And with like the pressure I gave myself of wanting to be so great for her, I learned that I could not play for my mom because I was like, this is too much pressure that I'm giving myself. So, and we have really open, honest conversations. And so she knew that. And I think she understood like hands off. Like if I needed I honestly don't think I've ever gone to her for a pointer because she also played basketball years ago. Sorry, Mom. Forever ago when it was very different. Like I don't even know if they had a 3-point line. Like it might've been that long ago. So I never really went to her for any tips.
So mom the fan, not mom the coach.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She taught me how to play basketball, like
Sure.
all that stuff. And there's some really funny memories from that. Cause like I said, I just grew up playing with my brothers like in the backyard. So when it got to be more structured, I was like fouls, what's this, box out? Like, what do you mean box out?
I'm just seeing so many elbows being thrown.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I would just like play defense with my hands up in the middle of the lane. And my mom's like, you have to guard a person. And I'm like, what do you mean? So she taught me like all that stuff. But everything else I learned was kind of just through playing and from other coaches. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Very cool. Okay, a couple other things about TikTok.
Mhm.
Hannah Stolke.
Mhm.
I feel like we don't see enough of her like
I know.
personality, but I'm
I
going
know.
through your TikTok and I was like, wait, Hannah can dance? Wait,
Hannah can dance. Hannah is like, and people love whenever, because she doesn't post very much on social media, which obviously like to each their own.
Right.
But if I ask her to do a dance, she'll do a dance. And I'm like, she's way better than me at dancing. I'm like, you got to tone it down a little bit. So it looks like we're somewhat even. But yeah, I wish she posted more. People love, they just want to see honestly anything. But
Yeah.
I try to convince some people to get on TikTok. I'm like, I was telling Gabby the other day, and it's so funny because she's like 3 or 4 years older than me. But in my head, I'm like, man, you are so old. She's like, what's TikTok? And so I try to like just post a video. And she's like, I don't know what I would post. I'm like, anything. The people just want to see, like, you could just be like, hey, and that'd be it. And they would be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah. They would freak out. I'm like, just anything. She doesn't even know how to work the app. I'm like, okay.
That's all right. That's
Yeah.
what you're there for, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Jada, this was so good. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else?
Yeah. So now you've got your best friends,
Mhm.
but 3 seniors leaving.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a lot of turnover in the program.
Yeah.
So that kind of opens up new opportunities,
Mhm.
right? So like, what's the mindset? Like, how do you shift that mindset back to like almost 7th and 8th grade
Yeah.
Jada compared to the last couple years where it's like, you're being the team supporter, whether injuries or whatever.
Mhm.
But now like there's a legitimate opportunity.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I feel like I've taken a lot of advice from like Kate I mentioned earlier, because her situation is kind of similar to mine. Obviously, hopefully I end up to be as great as Kate one day. But I think I'm so selfless when it comes to basketball, a little too selfless. So my coaches, like Coach Raina, who's my position coach, she works really hard on getting me to be a dog, which is what we call like our position group, and have like a more selfish mentality. But it's something I'm working on. Like, obviously there's a lot of room for opportunity, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, I'm ready to be whatever they need me to be. And I hope that it turns into something great. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about
That's the most
basketball.
nonchalant answer I've
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
heard in my life.
I'm like, I've gotten, I don't know. I'm ready for anything. Like whenever my name's called, I'd be ready. And if they were like another year of being the number one supporter, I would be the best at that too. So yeah, I think a lot it comes with a lot of work, as you know, like a lot of the stuff that people don't see. Like today, Coach Raina put me through a workout and I was like, what are you preparing me for? Like, am I going to the WNBA draft? But she's like, it's what you got to do. And I was like, okay, you're right. Let's again. But yeah, I'm just excited. Next year, it's going to be very different. We have 5 freshmen, Lucy Olson, great transfer. So that's 6 new players, which means it's going to be a long summer, a lot of learning.
Sure.
Yeah, but it'll be good. Whatever happens, we're going to be great. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that too.
mhm. I'm
And
excited.
just as you said, I'm not sure if it was on air or before when you said that you've talked to a lot of people that are like, I already have Indiana Fever season tickets, right, for Caitlin. I've talked to countless people that have said I already have my season tickets for women's basketball
Yeah.
at Iowa
Yeah.
next year. So
That makes me happy. I know.
Yes.
I'm like, we'll be great. So keep filling the seats. Why not? Like, let's keep the party rolling.
Yeah. definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people are excited, as are we. So we appreciate your time, Jada.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks
This
for
has been
coming
so
on.
great. Yeah.
Well,
Thank
we
you,
can't wait
guys.
to see what you make for TikTok that
Oh, yeah.
mentions Talking Hawk.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
No pressure. Well, thank you so much. Wish you the
Yeah.
best of luck in the off season and
Thank
bringing in
you.
all those new faces. So
Oh, yeah.
we know you'll be a big part of. Are you the new glue? Is Jada the new glue?
We'll see.
We'll see. It's yet to be determined.
Buy season tickets to find out.
Very cool. All right. Thanks, Jada. We
Yeah, of
appreciate it.
course. Yeah.
Bye.